built 6-bolt 4G63 aluminum rod motor. The dog box is definitely like the gem.
Guys, so we're here with Steve's 1998 badass GSX Mitsubishi Eclipse. Slick grips in second, man. That's awesome. See, I like your style. Just rip it. That's what we're about, man. Thanks for taking me for a ride, dude.
No problem, man.
So give us a rundown on the build.
It's a built 6-bolt. Obviously 4G63. It's a half-wheel block, stock, porch crank, aluminum rod motor, 10.5 ton bicycle HD pistons, second gen head ported that has Kelfer 272s and Super Tech dual valve springs. It's got your minor add-ons there like Kigley Racing, HLAs.
And how much power is the car made for?
The most it has so far made in this setup, it made 760 on Dynojet at roughly around 40. It was kind of dipping down a little bit.
Yeah, that's a lot of power, man. It's not only rare to see, you know, a 2G GSX,
right,
but it's such good condition and that making this much power.
Yeah, no, I initially wanted to try to push the setup further than that, but it came down to I just want to have a fun, you know, drivable car in the street.
For sure.
I mean, the car pretty much has everything in it, minus cruise control. AC's in it, everything is intact. You know, we've driven this to the old Mitsubishi Owners Day back in 2015. We drove it a round trip around like 250 miles.
Wow.
So I think I've made some point on some people that you can drive a half-wheel block car, aluminum rod car, a dog box car. So I mean, to me,
it's very streetable. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't feel any really compromise in like a daily ability or,
right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Just going for the quick cruise we've already been on.
Right.
It's super sweet. God, this thing's fast. It's just so much fun. I peeked over and this thing has what, 52,000 miles?
It's got 52,000 miles. I originally bought the car in July of 2011. It had basic bolt-ons, intake exhaust in it, even an old school AFC. Bought it from an older gentleman, you know, that bought the car original in '98. It was actually between a Mustang Cobra or a GSX, and I'm glad he picked the GSX.
Well, he took care of this thing because this thing is, I mean, it looks to be original paint. This thing is like mint, man.
Yeah, no, it is original paint. A lot of people that ask me about the paint and see if I resprayed it or anything like that, it's the original paint. Everything is original as far as the body and everything else with it. So
that's so badass, man. Super awesome job.
Thank you, thank you.
You're so clean. I mean, I spotted it instantly when we were kind of just driving around looking for cars to feature.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's got to be one of the nicest, you know, 2G DSM street cars. You know, there's a lot of race cars and all that, making tons of power, but just in terms of like a nice balance for street car and looks, this is probably one of the nicer ones in the shootout, man. So
yeah, and I've always built my cars, just I don't want it too flashy. I just like it clean lines, you know, clean wheels, nothing crazy, no extra camber, nothing like that. It's just you know, it's got the subtle looks, but it has somewhat of a gold on it too. So
oh yeah. a little bit of performance here. Take a hit. Banging them gears, man.
Yeah, it definitely helps that the dog box is definitely like the gem to get in any of these cars. If the budget is there, just jump on it and do it. Don't try to build, you know, because a factory built trans will only take you so far, and it ends up being a headache after builds after build. So my recommendation to anybody that can do it is jump on it right away. You will never regret it.
It really does change the car, because being able to just flat foot shift and bang the gears like you're banging them, the thing doesn't even fall out of boost. I mean,
yeah,
awesome.
it helps. I wish there's a way for me to get a strain gauge on here, because I think that would be even a game changer if I could do a strain gauge on this, you know, DSM Link, you know, ECU car.
Oh yeah. Who actually tunes the car?
I had two guys help me out, and I appreciate everything that they've done to the car. I give the shout out to Kevin Jewer he's actually in Ohio now, Six Sigma Tuning, I believe, and also Jake from AMS Performance. So I give all the credits to them for helping me out and getting the car dialed in and set up. You know, I used to be pretty good at doing the DSM Link thing, but with the big gap between two generations that I never got the chance to learn, it's time. You know, tuning is all about time and putting a lot of focus in it, and you know, now it's just a little bit, it's just the time I don't have. Yeah. So I really appreciate them for like having the time to help me on, you know, such short notice. And I mean, I'm happy. I'm really happy in how the car turns out.
Absolutely, man. And who does the work on the car?
Everything is done by myself.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing DSM thing before I can even drive. So I mean, I started with my brother. I got him hooked on it, and then when I got my first 96 all-wheel drive Talon, I did pretty well with that too. I mean, in 2006, I ran a 1049 at 138 on that car in 2006.
Wow, that's for 2006, that is fine.
And we drove that here from Chicago.
Wow, man.
So,
well, if you have a clip of that, we'll plug it here in the video.
Yeah, well, I'll try to see if I can come up with some of that. It's an old video. It's a Street Fire video for that fact.
Street Fire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
old school stuff.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
We might have to pull that one off a high 8 tape.
You know what? Actually, I think I still have them on all high 8 tapes. The dog box is a little tricky as far as downshift. You really have to get the perfect rev match. Yeah. And you know, those gears are by far not cheap, so I try to preserve them when I need them.
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
most. So
you don't want to eat up the dogs.
The dogs, exactly.
Yeah. So is it a stock or built diff in the car? Or?
At the moment, it's still got a stock transfer case, stock drive shaft. The rear diff is actually a limited slip, stock limited slip with a frontline fab diff cover in it, but it also has some stage 5 rear axles from DSS.
Badass.
Yep. It's a missing link. I need that T case eventually, but that's like the missing link of the build.
You hear that, sponsors? Let's get this guy a T case.
A T case would be good, and then I can really just send it without worrying about it.
Yeah. Sure.
So that would be cool, but I think eventually in time we'll be able to get that situated.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, man.
So hopefully. That's why I haven't really gotten a little crazy off the line. I did that last year, the first pass, because I just had in my head, like, everybody's watching, might as well send it, and I locked up the transfer case, shredded it, and I had to be pushed back on wheel carts.
That's never fun. But
no, it's never fun at all.
It's the labor of love.
Exactly. Honestly, a lot of my
TRC approved, man.
Yeah, thank you. I get used to the car the way it runs, that I don't feel that hit. The only time I feel like that the car is moving is when I'm rolling through gears, shifting at like 8,500, 9 grand.
Yeah, is that what you shift at usually, about 9 grand?
Yeah, 80. I think at that pull I was doing like 8,500, 8,750.
I felt like you took it a little higher that pull than the first one, huh?
Yeah, on the second gear pull, yeah.
Yeah, you took it a little higher, and I felt it. I felt it on the ass dyno.
Nice, nice. Yeah, to me, I get used to that, so I don't get that butt dyno feel anymore. But my fiance that rides in the car, she knows when the car is moving and when it's not.
Oh,
and she's like, well, turn it up a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, man, it's my buddies always tell me, I ride in so many cars, and they're like, man, how do you even enjoy it anymore? Because, you know, I've been in 2,200 horsepower cars,
right,
street cars and things like that, 400 horsepower cars, but I enjoy everything. My butt dynos is dialed in pretty well.
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
And you know what, it's like, while some of the cars that we ride in, again, it's like some of the levels of cars these days are just insane, you know?
Right.
It's like almost scary for the street. So I really appreciate, you know, some of the, what some people would call quote unquote lower horsepower cars these days.
Right.
But they're not. You know, this car is almost making 800 wheel horsepower. I mean, that's wild.
It is. The technology with car performance from 15 years ago has evolved tremendously. I mean, you got to give it out to the guys that's doing it. You know, without the guys that's modifying them, and like, you know, even just the street guys that's doing them, I don't think the technology with the turbos, the engine tuning, you know, the fuel system, stuff like that, I don't think it would evolve to where it is today without without it.
Absolutely. So, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep, it sure is. It sure is.
So how is it? I mean, I know you say you drive the car a ton. I mean, how is it driving with the dog box?
And honestly, the dog box, after, you know, hearing it from a lot of people that you shouldn't drive it in the street because it puts, you know, I'm sure it does put somewhere on it, but I've gotten pretty good at double clutching each gear that it just falls right in, and it's so natural to me that when I jump into another car that's non-dog box, I tend to do the double clutch in that car.
It's muscle memory at this point, right?
It is, to be honest with you. It is, and it just throws me off every time.
That's funny, man.
So,
no, but you're driving this thing well, man.
Thank you.
You definitely know your car.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Guys, we had an absolute blast riding in Steve's GSX here. This thing's a beast.